Well, folks, we have a special reader. This is Dan, my friend from California. I've known him for 56 years and everything, 50 or 60 years. And, he's not that old, but, a long time. Anyway, Dan's going to do the reading for us and everything, and I think that'll be a special treat. So, but of course, there's a word from our sponsor. You know who that is. That's me. So thank you. Okay, let's give you the recap here. The recap is pretty simple in the sense that Marie's hiding up in the shadows and she's trying to figure what to do. She knows she's going to have to rescue her father, but her abilities are not like the others, and she knows if she goes back to get the others, they may lose her. So she's staying there trying to figure out an opportunity. She figures out a plan, and she shows, as you remember, she showed how Judge would participate in that plan, and eventually they were able to escape. Father and daughter were experienced the reunion, but now it's time to continue on, and Judge is touched that his wife is alive. And so that's the exciting part of the story. So now the story, and let's continue as Dan, our guest commentator, will actually share this information in his special, unique way. So take it away, Dan. Now he's going to start for real. Let's go.
Judge takes another long look at her until he gets the sense of what she is saying. His bruised, dirty, and tattered face begins to bud with elation as tears of joy silently stream out. Where is she? Marie gestures with her head behind her and says back this way in the cave. How did you know I was here? Ekes out the words of her father as she begins to sit on a nearby stone. We didn't know. We came to rescue Sly. We didn't expect to find you, Daddy. We thought you were dead too. Judge nods again, still overjoyed to speak. Champ, Christian, Mom and I came to save, as Judge puts his hand gently over his daughter's mouth and says softly, we better get going. I don't know how much time we have before the soldiers' base calls to check in with them. When they do and get no answer, they'll send out some more men, so we better move quickly. And besides, I can't wait to see your mother, says Judge almost with a swoon. After a few steps, Judge replies, I just remembered they have my shield in one of these boxes. I need to have it. Marie points to a dark section in the cave and says, they have some boxes over there, Dad, under a tarp. Maybe it's over there. Judge nods and walks over and picks up the sealed wooden box. He looks over to Doug and looks away and says nothing. Judge lifts up the box and places it next to Doug as he begins to open it. Boy, I sure hope this thing isn't booby-trapped. It would be a shame if this went off and both of us got hurt. But of course, I'll be okay. I'll heal quickly. But you? Well, I guess we'll find out. Stop, shouts Doug. So it is booby-trapped after all, Judge says acerberically. Douglas nods sneeringly and says, yeah, inside my bag is a device. You will need to disable it before you try to remove the top. Marie quickly walks over to it and pulls out the small box with dials and buttons and hands it over to her father. Judge takes the remote in his hand and says to Doug, "That a boy." Doug remains embittered in silence, not admitting defeat as he turns away and looks to his left to see his partner Cody still unconscious on the ground. He abandons his stillness and says dourly, "Push the 2 red buttons on the left at the same time, and then afterwards push the green button once and it will be deactivated." Judge moves within a hairspan of Doug's face and holds it up to him. He looks at him sternly as Doug's breathing begins to grow shallow and his face becomes wetter with fear. Judge doesn't blink as he presses the red button twice and then the green once. A snapping sound goes forth and the box opens like a bank vault on a timer. Judge looks inside the box as his shield awakes and lifts itself from the box and flies obediently, like a hawk, to the left arm of Judge. Doug closes his eyes and rolls over to his side as Judge enlarges his shield wide enough for both Marie and him to lie on his shield as it floats horizontally in the air and begins to take off. Hold on to me in the board. This may be a little rocky at first. It's been a while since I've been using this thing and carried a passenger. Marie points in the direction of where to go as Judge and her began to soar in the air like a surfboard riding a high wave. Chapter 27, Time Out for Pain. Bailey continues to wait in the shadows and thinks about how much time has passed and begins to worry about Marie, who has yet to return. She hopes she will be returning at any moment. Bailey begins to reflect on the past 2 weeks on Earth before she returned to Notlam. How she had been hounded by the local law enforcement agencies, UFO enthusiasts, and the Bigfoot fanatics. The most distasteful thing about all this was how she was now mistrusted and scorned by the people she had known all her life. She couldn't believe how so many were quick to think of her as this monster who would be responsible for the death of her family. It just made her sick to think about it. In all her life, with everything she had gone through, she never imagined she was to be the primary suspect, or what they would say guardedly as a person of interest in such a grisly tale. How thankful she was that Joelle believed her and always stood loyally by her side through it all. She never left her side during the bleakest of time and was always there for her. How she wished she was here now. Then these two strangers showed up with special information regarding her family. She remembered Captain John and Dean back on the Super Pooper ship years ago, before they actually were magically transferred to Notlam, something she never really understood. She was shocked when she was finally shown how they were all going to return to Notlam. Her fate, Judge, and the others rested on the mysterious Bigfoot monster and her power of freezing time and his transporting power to get them back to the Notlam. They made it back all right to Notlam, but not without some excitement. It was a nice surprise to ultimately find out about her grandson Cassio. This was truly special for her and something she would always cherish. Seeing her daughter and her new grandson took out some of the sting out of hearing that her beloved husband Judge was already dead. In the face of all this, she couldn't help but feel a deep sense of emptiness. She missed him, and for the time being, didn't want to think about it too much. Too much had to be done, and she knew how important it was going to be to stay focused on what they needed to do to save Sly. Bailey reflected back on a shared cry with Marie on the boat and mixed feelings about all this. In truth, she still needed to grieve some more in private, and when this was all done, she would do so. Bailey knew this was going to have to wait until they managed to save Sly and get back to Earth. Her reflection comes to an end when she hears the sound of something coming her way. Her gut instinct tells her it was danger. Yet, what could she do? She needed more time. She needed to be time out again quickly. She freezes time, and for those 5 frozen seconds, she moves closer for a look. After the time elapses, she finds herself no closer to the moving sound. She immediately finds a darker spot behind this large rock and buries herself from what she hopes is out of their sight. Suddenly, something in the air about waist high, wearing white, shoots past her in the air. She is not sure what it is or what she should do, and wishes she could freeze time again, but her time power matrix had not reset yet. Time Out still has her cheetah-like speed, and without further contemplation, she takes off in a blaze and catapults herself like a human missile at the flying white blur. She makes contact with it in such a way that sends it and herself crashing into the rocky wall. As she climbs to her feet, she can only see the outline of one person, and she quickly looked around the area and sees no one else. In her panic haste, she stands up quickly and falls back to the ground defensively. An image of a big man staggers to his feet, wearing a large lab coat. Bailey climbs to her feet quickly and takes a defensive posture of a black belt ninja. The man in white continues to be barricaded by the deep shadow of the cavern as he momentarily rolls backwards on his heels. He bends down and picks up his flying surfboard as it immediately retracts into a round-like shield. As he slowly moves forward from the darkness to the light, his shield, bearing the large center emblem with "No Pain" on it, becomes visible to her. "Judge? Judge? Is that you?" A strained, frightened voice coming indeterminate to what she is hearing. There is no response at first. The silence seems to go on forever as the shield slowly lowers and a guarded voice of Judge utters in disbelief, "Lover? Is that you?" Both explode with an unuttered emotional glee as both rush and cement themselves in each other's arms. The two starts to cry and embrace each other with joy and kisses as both cry out how they can't believe this is not a dream, but reality long hoped for. As the hugs and kisses continue, Marie turns visible with tears in her eyes as well, and is eagerly welcomed to the famous Wilder family group hug. "Oh, Daddy. Oh, Mommy," she bellows joyfully with a little girl love and happiness in her voice and tender heart. "I thought I lost you forever," says Marie. "I thought I lost both you," as she continues with tears of her own. Judge is so touched he cannot speak. Bailey continues to burn her cheeks with hot tears of happiness and tries to cheerfully wipe them away with the palm of her hand. Bailey smiles warmly at her daughter, and with a smirk looks directly at Judge's face and says, "I don't know why I was ever worried about you old fool." She concludes with a happy laugh and a light punch to his arm. Marie puts both hands on her parents' shoulders and coos the words, "Mom, Dad, I'm sorry, but we have to get back to find Champ and Christian and finish what we started." Judge looks at his wife, and with a warm smile to her, he says, "Of course. Let's go. Who can stop us now?"
And that brings us to episode 35 next time. So thank you for the read, Dan, and everything like that. And folks, if you don't know where we are, go back and look at the other episodes because they're just there waiting for you. And the story just keeps getting better and better and better. We won't always have Dan, but we have him today, and we thank you, Dan, for doing this reading for us. So,
Been my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.